Joining me is former federal Labor MP Michael Danby, who was chair of the Joint Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs, Defence and Trade. Michael, great to see you again. The ABC's Global Affairs editor, John Lyons, he's got a long history of anti-Israel stuff, suggesting that Trump's plan is really a plot with Israel to steal Palestinian oil. Your reaction?
Well, the Israelis have got two huge gas fields and oil fields themselves. They're exporting it to Egypt, to Jordan, all over the place. They're even going to send some of the LNG to Europe. John Lyons lives in a silo in Ultimo where they all reinforce each other, as you've explained with that Salek Sara program. They all talk to each other. They all agree with each other. There seems to be no differences. Kim Williams, the chairman of the ABC, I asked him openly on this program, do you agree with John Lyons' priorities of going to the West Bank when the Palestinian convicts were being released and lauding them and interviewing them, and not going to the 80th anniversary of the liberation of the biggest death camp in Europe? That's what all the other networks did. That's what Sky did. But the ABC paid $1.1 billion by the Australian taxpayer, John Lyons, for his 10th trip to the Middle East, flying backwards and forwards. He wanted to interview Palestinian prisoners, asked none of them about the convictions, about the number of people they murdered in order to have been convicted in an open and fair Israeli court. But that's the ABC's priorities. Andrew, you've identified it correctly with that program this morning on Radio National. Not a single person who would say, oh, this is actually leverage. Oh, the press secretary says that we weren't being forced to leave, or pointed out the irony that these are the people who are at least soft on from the river to the sea, and they're the ones who are complaining about ethnic cleansing? Come on. Most Australians would regard that program as a joke, and it's why the ABC's ratings, particularly on radio, are falling through the floor.
I know for a fact from conversations in the distant past that Kim Williams is very sympathetic to Israel. Has had some connection there, and he must be embarrassed to hear this kind of rubbish, one-sided rubbish on the network that he is now chairman of, that is committed under its charter to be balanced, to at least have a plurality of debate, and to hear that. But also interviewing the UN's Francesca Albanese, who is someone I regard as little better than an Israel-hating kook. What does that say?
She boasts how she enjoys doing her Israel-hating for nothing, and that she enjoys upsetting people. She's meant to be a rapporteur for the United Nations. This is why Donald Trump has successfully pulled out funding from the UN Human Rights Commission, which theoretically employs her as a rapporteur. This is why he's pulled money from UNRWA. The UN is discrediting itself. I think Antonio Guterres is probably the worst Secretary General of the UN ever. But you have to cater for people across the world, not just your masters in China when it comes to the World Health Organization, or apologists for various regimes at the UN Human Rights Council like Iran, North Korea, etc. It's a disgrace that they don't have different points of view on the ABC in that debate this morning. I mean, the rigid, boring, legalistic claims that this was ethnic cleansing and that they were being forcibly deported, absolute rubbish. And everyone can see from what's happened with Panama and with Canada that Donald Trump makes opening bids. He tries to get some results from those bids. He's trying to get money from Saudi Arabia, Qatar and the UAE to help with the reconstruction of Gaza, and make them feel some of the ownership, especially Egypt and Jordan. And I remember in the first 6 months of the war, Andrew, that people were complaining that Egypt was cruel in not allowing Palestinians to relocate there, even for medical reasons. So, they change their line, whatever suits them, that is anti-Israel.
It's so
5 speakers to 0 on the ABC. You've pinged them.
That is debate on the ABC. So right. Michael Danby, thank you so much for your time.